What's up, everyone? It's Andrew Bone here with BamaInsider.com. Just wanted to give you guys an update as to what all has been going on the last week, really, and what we can expect this weekend and kind of moving forward. All right, so this last weekend, we saw Alabama have four official visitors on campus, two commitments, Javon Baker and Kyle Edwards. Kyle Edwards signed last month, and then Javon Baker, who has yet to sign. He is going to take an official visit to Arkansas this weekend. But as I've stated several times on the BamaInsider.com recruiting board, still expect him to remain solid with Alabama and sign with the Crimson Tide in February. Two other guys who are on campus. You had Cedric Van Pran, who is a Georgia commitment, longtime Georgia commitment, committed to Georgia back in August. He was on campus for an official visit, and you also had McKinley Jackson, one of the top defensive linemen in the country, member of the Rivals 100. He was on campus for an unofficial visit. We'll talk about Van Pran real quick. Committed to Georgia back in August. Back during the summer, he visited Alabama. I think it was sometime in June. It seemed to really like Alabama a lot back then. Had Alabama in his top five, and just from speaking to people kind of close to him, Alabama was very high on his list, and at one point, may have even led for his services. But he took a visit to Georgia, unofficial visit during the summer. Really became close with Coach Sam Pittman, former Georgia offensive line coach, who's now the head coach at Arkansas. And that was really one of the biggest reasons for his commitment to Georgia. But despite Sam Pittman leaving Georgia, he has remained solid with his commitment to the Bulldogs. Now, he's expected to go over to Athens this weekend and then take an official visit to Florida next weekend. I think Alabama's in it. Nick Saban's going to do an in-home visit with him next week. So the week before signing day, Nick Saban's going to go in home, give one last attempt. Now, as of right now, still kind of thinking that Georgia's in the driver's seat now. And obviously going into Athens this weekend, definitely, they can definitely build some momentum there and keep him on board. But, I said this on the Bama Insider recruiting board. I said, if he comes out of that visit not saying that, I'm 100% solid, I'm not going to take any other visits, I still think Alabama has a chance there. They're really starting to push for him. They really kind of turned up the heat. I don't know if it's one of those situations where, he's, definitely not going to Alabama or definitely not going to Florida, but I definitely think those schools are in it. But as of right now, still kind of leaning Georgia, but we'll see what happens after Nick Saban's in-home visit next week, as we've seen many, many times throughout the course of Nick Saban's tenure in Tuscaloosa, that the in-home visits are, can certainly change the momentum and push the Tide on top. So we'll see what happens there. McKinley Jackson, big time target for the Crimson Tide, took his official visit back during the fall. We knew that he was planning on coming back to Tuscaloosa for an unofficial visit this month before taking his remaining official visits. He'll be at LSU this weekend. And we'll kind of see how that visit goes, because a lot of people think it's between Alabama and LSU for McKinley Jackson, and it might be. I don't think he's really come out and said that, but most people assume that it's between those two schools. Now, obviously, we all know Freddie Roach has been hired by Alabama. I know it's not, I guess it hadn't been officially announced yet, but we've seen Freddie on the road this week recruiting for Alabama. So, we expect that to get announced here sometime soon. He went and saw Freddie Roach and Coach Golding, Alabama defensive coordinator, went and saw McKinley Jackson at the George County High School football banquet on Wednesday night. So, definitely a major, major push happening for him right now. I think Alabama's in the driver's seat, but as we all know, things can change, in a split second, and he's got some visits coming up these next couple weekends, so we'll see how it goes. But as of today, I like Alabama's chances with McKinley Jackson. All right, so what's going on this weekend? Alabama's going to have some visitors on campus. Obviously, the coaches have been on the road throughout the entire week. Most of the visits have been to go and see a lot of these underclassmen, visit a lot of high schools. Continue to build those relationships, especially with high school coaches. They have gone and seen some other top 2020 guys. Pretty much all the top 2020 guys that are remaining on Alabama's recruiting board were seen by at least Nick Saban or an assistant coach this week. So this weekend, not really a big official visit weekend, but there are some guys that are going to be on campus. You got Damian George, who's an Alabama commitment. I think that I don't know what his whole situation is, but I do know that he is going to sign with Alabama. There's a lot of rumors out there that he may have already signed, he may have not signed. But I don't see him visiting any other schools. I think he's very solid with Alabama. Some people have thrown out, the possibility of him blue shirting or gray shirting. None of that's happening. He's a 100% scholarship player right off the bat for Alabama. Nothing really to worry about there. So any rumors that you might hear about him, other than the fact that he's going to, announce his signature with Alabama in February, they're pretty much not true. So definitely expect Damian George to be a part of Alabama's 2020 recruiting class. Another guy that's coming on campus this weekend, also from Texas, is Enos Rakestraw, 3-star cornerback from Duncanville High School in Texas. Really blew up after his senior season. Word started getting out about him. Film started getting out there, and he had a remarkable senior season. Started getting a lot of offers. Alabama, Georgia, Texas. A lot of schools have definitely shown interest in him. He was in Missouri last weekend for an official. He's coming in this weekend for an official. Nick Saban went and met with him on Monday, had an in-home visit with him on Monday. So he'll be coming in this weekend. They'll get a chance to really spend some time with him, get to know his family a little bit more, and really kind of see if he fits the program, see if he is definitely somebody that they really want to press for and pursue as part of this year's recruiting class. So, as I've said several times, numbers are extremely tight. There's still a few guys out there that they're heavily recruiting, and Rakestraw is definitely a guy that they have a lot of interest in, and I think they'll probably make some decisions after this weekend, after he spends some time with the coach, all the coaches, and some of the players on the team. Alabama will host a graduate transfer this weekend. Former North Carolina tight end Carl Tucker. I spoke to his father on Thursday and confirmed the visit was happening, and they kind of wanted to keep it quiet until Friday, so they released the news on this morning. But he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. He visited Florida State last weekend, and now he's coming into Tuscaloosa. We've all talked about how the biggest need at Alabama right now is a tight end position, and getting somebody in that has 1 year of eligibility can certainly help. Especially with Alabama missing on some other tight ends, they can kind of, if they can get him on board, as long as they pursue him. I don't think they've officially made an offer just yet, but with him coming on campus this weekend, there's definitely some strong interest, and I believe an official offer will happen once he meets with Coach Saban. So we'll keep an eye on Carl Tucker visiting. It's just going to be an unofficial visit, but he is going to be on campus throughout the entire weekend. And we also will see some juniors on campus. I've heard there's going to be some more guys on campus this weekend. I think coaching staff still trying to confirm some names. But two guys to watch out for: Amarius Mims, 5-star offensive tackle from Georgia, and then Dylan Brooks from Hanley High School in Roanoke, Alabama, member of the Rivals 100 outside linebacker. So those are two big names that are going to be on campus that are in the 2021 recruiting class. And then keep in mind, Alabama will have their first official junior day next weekend on February the 1st, and that's going to be an invite-only event. Now, the only other prospect I really wanted to talk about is Alfred Collins. He's a 4-star defensive end, also from Texas. Nick Saban went and visited with him on Monday. I did an in-home visit. I talked to Collins. They said that things went great. He's down to 3 schools: Alabama, Oklahoma, and Texas. Texas has been kind of considered the favorite for a while. Oklahoma had kind of taken the lead for a minute, but I think all the momentum really shifted back to Texas. Alabama is really going hard after him. I think it might be a little tough for him to end up at Alabama because he's only visited one time. Visited Texas a bunch, has visited Oklahoma a few times. Was in Austin last weekend, for an unofficial visit. Now there was some talk about him possibly coming in for an unofficial visit to Alabama this weekend, but time just kind of ran out. He's not going to travel all the way from Texas to Tuscaloosa for an unofficial visit. So no more visits for him. But Alabama will go in next week for their final in-home visit with him, whether that's at school or at his actual home. So we'll see kind of what happens there. But as of now, I'd probably still lean to Texas if I was making a prediction. But you never know what may happen with Alabama really pressing hard for him, really going after him. I think they still have an opportunity there with him. So those are really the big names to kind of watch out for. And I know that there's been other names tossed out there. There was some recruit threw out that he got an offer from Alabama on Thursday night, a kid out of Georgia, which was not true. The Alabama did not extend a new offer on Thursday to anybody in the 2020 class. I mean, numbers are already extremely tight. They're really kind of focused on these guys. I know there was a defensive end in Texas that some people have thrown out there as a potential backup option. I can't really even pronounce his name. Princely Umani or something like that. I know I butchered it, but Alabama really isn't pressing for him either. It's really these guys that they're going after, that they're trying to sign. Whether that's one or two of them. They're trying to keep the guys that they have committed on board, like Javon Baker and Jamil Burroughs. Jamil Burroughs shut down his recruitment this week and says that his commitment is very solid. Keep those guys on board, and then try to get McKinley Jackson, and then potentially an Alfred Collins or a Cedric Van Prawn, maybe an Enos Rakestraw. Those are some guys that they're really going after. Really, the only guys that they're really focused on. And obviously, like I said, we'll see kind of what happens with North Carolina graduate transfer Carl Tucker this weekend. So those are really the only names to follow. Please follow us at BamaInsider.com. If you haven't subscribed to BamaInsider.com, I strongly encourage you to do so. You can sign up for a 30-day free trial right now. Jump on the recruiting board. I'm on the recruiting board every single day, pretty much all day long. You can ask me a question on the recruiting board right now, and I'm going to answer it pretty much within a few minutes. So jump on there, join our community. It's not just a basic generic update. We go very inside, give you guys the latest scoop. So please subscribe to our BamaInsider.com website, and also follow us on our BamaInsider.com YouTube channel. Just hit subscribe on the Bama Insider YouTube channel, and you will be following us. And you can follow me on my Twitter handle at Andrew J. Bone. That's going to be it. Hopefully I'll jump back on here next week, give you guys a little update. But if you need anything between now and then, jump on BamaInsider.com. Come find me, and we can talk pretty openly about anything that you have a question for, recruiting, or even if you have a real estate question, give me a shout. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.